drink drug addictions, porn addiction, gambling addictions. These are just some of the addictions we go to mask some of these things of disconnect. I mean, gaming's turned into a bit now as well.
Today, we're joined by Keith, the founder of Holistic Brotherhood, a mind body coach who specializes in helping men release stress, heal emotional wounds, and rebuild their lives through movement, breathwork, and nervous system healing. Welcome, Keith.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So, with that said, that's quite a lot, really. I'm really excited for this conversation. So, with that said, what is one of the most courageous things that you have done?
Yeah, good question. Good question. There's been a there's been multiple points in my life, but I probably would do the biggest one was when I left England, because it wasn't just I left England. I quit all the drugs, I quit all the drink, sold my house, and then sold everything I owned, actually, not the house, everything. And then basically left England on a travel which I didn't really know where I was going, to be quite honest. I just didn't want to be in what you could say Groundhog Day anymore. And I'd done that when I was 24. I just decided enough was enough, and there must have been more out there in the big wide world. So yeah, that was probably one of the huge, you could say, courageous or major turning points in my life. As I said, I had a kind of a goal where I wanted to go live in Australia for a little bit, but between kind of the bits in the middle where I was going and what was happening, um, yeah, I kind of just winged it. And that was 12 years ago. So there's been a lot of winging for the 12 last past 12 years. Um, so yeah, I'd have to put that was one of the biggest major like moves. I was quite young then. I was only 24 when I done that.
Wow, that's quite a lot to be dealing with at such a young age. But you just mentioned drugs and alcohol. Just tell me what life was like before you moved.
Yeah, good question. Between kind of like 18 and 24, I was pretty wild. It would pretty much drink, drugs, and rock and roll. A lot of it during that stages was kind of to block out a lot of my past childhood trauma. So you could say as escapism or being able to cope, or I'd I also put it down to a lot that I didn't really care if I lived or died at that point because of everything I grew up with. I think for me, I didn't really know how to cope moving into the adult world. You could say, I mean, 18 is not really an adult, but the way I felt, I was kind of let off the chains, and I think that just letting off the chains, and it's kind of like being in England at that age. It's
Mm.
kind of like, or that age, or that time. It kind of felt like it was like the rite of passage. Like everyone seemed to be going at 18, just getting drunk. Like it was just what had to be. The lads' holidays, the drinks, the drugs, the parties. I mean, but deep down, as I know now, it was just to escape basically all the pain I was in, and all the trauma, and just block out everything. And a lot of the time, I it was like false sense of like who I was. I was trying to be someone else, or to be this person kind of everyone thought you should be, but other than it, I was just masking everything basically.
Wow, what a journey. And well done for you to take that road. I mean, it could have been very different. So I absolutely applaud you for making that move because 24, you're still young then. You're still absolutely, you're still finding your feet. To move, sell everything and move and not know what was next is a big, trust in whatever the universe, you're going with it.
Yeah, and it's funny because like everyone thought like you should do this. And I was like, no, I'm like, well, I'm pretty stubborn in my things anyway. I was just like, I've had enough. Like, I also it's like I want to see what's out there. Like, I want to see what's in the world. I don't want to be stuck in like. There's got to be more than like. I mean, at 24, it's pretty young to have like. Actually, I had my house a lot younger. Um, it's a lot. It was too much because I took it from my mum just because of financial situations. she got herself in. So basically, we would have lost the family home anyway. So I took the house as like we need to keep it, we need to keep it. But
Mm,
it was a financial, but it was my mum's burden put onto me, and I
mm.
didn't know that back then. And I was like, oh yeah, I've got a house, but like I had the house like before I was even 21.
Wow.
and and it wasn't like I get it because my mum's giving it me. Is get it I took it because my mum had a business what financially ruined her, and she put the money against the house. So it's
Mm,
either I take the house or the government takes the house. So again, and at first it was all fun and games, but like after a while I didn't realize that it was just too much pressure. I mean,
mm.
to be to be like 21 to have a house, to try and look after it. I can barely look after myself. I'm still completely off my head at the weekends, and the house has slowly turned into where everyone would come over and just carry on the party. And just wasn't ready for it, and I should, and again, at the end of the day, I shouldn't have taken on my mum's burden. I have my own path, not my mum's path. And that took a long time I mean, a very long time to kind of understand that. It wasn't until my early 30s where I started to understand these things.
Yeah, that's really courageous of you to do that. Absolutely. And like you said, it's the emotional going on behind the scenes, struggle, stress. I mean, I can understand how alcohol and drugs played a part as well. You needed some release, but not always the best way at all, is it?
No, I mean it's partly why it's also probably partly why it got to the point where I had to make a choice, I got to the point where like it's funny because the weekends I was just completely out of it, and it'd probably take me like 3 or 4 days to feel normal in the week. But I'd still be in the gym because I worked in the gym in the fitness area. So it's like it was like in two worlds. I was in this world
Mm.
where people would be like healthy and this, and then the next world I was completely destroying myself. Um, and it just, as I got older, it just got to the point where I was just like, I was destroying myself so much that like I couldn't, and the downs were getting so bad and the highs weren't that good. And I was just getting to a point where like my brain was fried. I sometimes on the come downs, I couldn't speak properly for a few days. I couldn't remember. I was having blackouts. I just felt crap. And then I was like, look, I'm like, I don't want to feel crap anymore. And I enjoy being in the gym. I enjoy training people and I'm good at it. So I'm like, there was this, there's like this internal struggle, which I now realize I've always had an internal struggle from a very, very young age. Um, but that was the, there was a big, like, internal fight there. But it was
Mm.
really the fact I enjoyed helping people. And I think
Mm.
realistically, that enjoying helping people and believing I know I can be a really good trainer, uh, these were the main two things, and the fact that I just had enough of drugs, and I was just like, boom, done, cold turkey, that was it. And I have been clean now for I'm 38, I'm 39 soon, so it's been a long time since I've touched any of it.
That's absolutely well done to you. Absolutely, because it's a big thing to go through. So, is that what took you on your journey of becoming a mind body coach?
I think it was a couple of different things, to be honest. I think also my like healing journey of like figuring out where I come from and what I had to go through because I thought my childhood was normal. But when I actually started looking through therapy and going through all like learning all my holistic breath work and like releasing all my trauma and everything, I realized my childhood was an absolute nightmare and it was not normal in any way, shape, or form. Um, so like I think learning going like I've got now I'm a type of person apparently all this is also a reason why I made the choice. I wanted to lead by example, and because of my history and background and what I learned from all my like courses and studying and working with multiple different people in the holistic and healing area, I realized like I can actually help people because I've actually come from this. So when someone tells me their story, I can relate a lot of times coming from childhood abuse, coming from bullying, coming from like my dad passing, having an accident, coming from suicide to like stress, addiction, like all these things I've had one point. I mean, it's only to like in my early 30s where things slowly started calming down, but I've been realistically in a battle with myself for 30 odd years. Um, And then when I started like realizing like healing, I was like, I can, and I started speaking to more men on my travels. I was like, whoa. people actually have the same thing I do or have been in similar things. And I think that's when it slowly started like changing from the personal training and everything I've done there in nutrition. It started morphing into the new stuff I do with the men and the brotherhood now.
Ah, that's brilliant. And yeah, just so is that what actually inspired you to create Holistic Brotherhood? And I love the name Holistic. I love it's brilliant.
I think that's what inspired me, and I put the W in front of it because I use that as like a spin on it, and it's
Mm,
classed as the whole. You put the W as the whole, as in holistic, so like class as the whole body, mind, body, and spirit, because we can't just look at. I mean, it's but like back in the day, it's just like you just look at the body, you just train,
mm,
but it's not just about that. It's the internal, like central nervous system about keeping the body calm and stressed. But then also you got the nutrition to keep the body. So it's a bit of everything. It's not just one facet. And this is just again, this is everything what I like went through all my education and everything I'd learned along the way. And that's why I specifically where I focus on working with men because I know exactly where they struggle. And that's exactly how I can help people. When they come to me, I'm like, I've got all the X, Y, Z. I'm like, yeah, I've been there. I understand, I can relate, and I actually feel what it feels like to be in that space and how to move you from that space with everything I've gone through. And hopefully, you don't have to go through the chaos I went through, and you can skip the little parts of it, and then we move forward faster.
absolutely. So why do you think so many men struggle with stress, burnout, and emotional disconnection?
That's a good question. I think if I step back and look at like the fundamentals of why kind of men struggle or the ones, and even it's a lot of it to do with like disconnect and not really maybe understanding, and that societal pressure of you have to be a certain way of like you have to be this tough guy who can take everything, and if something happens, you don't cry, you just kind of push it one side and
Mm,
carry on. But basically, I mean, that's a false sense of security, and uh it doesn't like if you come from that kind of understanding, which is kind of the old paradigm, and it's a little bit around now still, that you're never going to feel like centered in yourself. And usually, generally, with that, like men struggle to express,
mhm,
um, and because they feel they're going to be judged. Because it went with the whole aspect of the whole macho man thing in good or bad ways. When you can't like express something and everyone's on the same level or they don't really say it like, yeah, I feel sad, but there's a lot more under sadness, you know, and they feel like they're going to be judged. I mean, this is why uh, I never spoke out or I never
mm.
spoke about. And plus, you don't know who can hold it. If it's just your friends, they're like, oh, it's fine, tap you on the back, like. Let's go out, we just get drunk kind of thing. I mean, this is how I grew up anyway, but it's changed a bit now. But I think a lot of it's disconnection, and with also the societal pressure of like we need to do well, you need to have a business, you need to do this, you need to do that, need. You have that pressure to provide, and you don't even really know what you're supposedly supposed to do anyway.
Mhm.
So you have this false sense of having to go out and like push yourself for an invisible thing you don't know what it is. It's an invisible societal pressure. So I think there's many different facets to say it's just one, but most of the time it links down to like feeling judged, having that still like they've never been taught what emotion regulation is or how to calm themselves. And it's what the man should be.
And I can't agree more with you because masculinity, it's what's perceived, how they should behave, And this day and age, a lot more men are showing their emotions, and there's a lot more honesty about, you don't have to be tough. You don't have to be this macho, you can cry, you can show your emotions. It is changing, which is absolutely brilliant because otherwise men are getting emotionally burnt out and everything you're saying because they're holding it in and it's about time. And if not, this is when you should be sharing and showing each other you can do this. And you've got people like you that are there been through so much that can help you firsthand.
Yeah, and as I said, it's I think it's understanding like a lot of like most sometimes, even if I take it from my journey, you don't know you're in it really. You don't really know what's going
Mm,
on. So, and when on top of that you're supposed to act a certain way, it's hard to comprehend that maybe you're completely stressed out, and these addictions are linked to your stress. Because I
mm,
mean, we all like there's quite a lot of similar patterns we men go through, and it's I mean, drug addictions, porn addiction, gambling addictions. These are just some of the addictions we go to mask some of these things of
mm,
disconnect. I mean, gaming's turned into a bit now as well. So, I mean, these addictions are just masking things, but it's seen as just this is just what men have.
mm.
It's not what men have. It's just same as women having their addictions to certain things. It's packaged in a different package. Um, so I think it's a lot of time even if from my experience, you don't really understand the addiction and why the addiction is there. You're masking something of some reason, but you're either too scared or you feel like you're not seen or heard. So as soon as someone can come along and kind of see that, it helps. I mean, this is even happening with kids when they're younger as well. It's like in school they don't feel understood.
Mm.
It's because like again, they're not seen as that actual just the person rather than seen as like you're just like kind of a person. You got to do it this way in school. You sit there, you learn off the board, blah blah blah. You're not seen as like a person. You just see as part of the system per se, the matrix.
And it's so true, absolutely. And they have a lot more help now in schools than they would have done in our time. So that's really good to mention as well. Absolutely. So, how does the nervous system influence men's mental and emotional health?
Yeah, great question. So basically, the easiest way to simple terms of the emotions, the nervous system is when you're feeling completely on edge 24/7, you're kind of having consistent anxiety, but you kind of really don't know what it is. You have the knots in the stomach, tension of the jaw, just constant like maybe the shoulders tension, these and like maybe clammy hands. And then when it really hits, you can feel that like adrenaline hit, like you're ready to fight or run away. This is what they call fight and flight. This is kind of like, I don't know, when someone jumps out at you and they scare you, like in a movie or something, you get that adrenaline dump. This is what we call the fight or flight system. And this is basically, as it says, you're either ready to fight or you're ready to run away. And basically, your body just lives, if your body's consistently living in this, I use a traffic light system. So you're on the like red light forever, then you're gonna start when you move in this red light, you start being up here in your head. So when you're on the red light, you're in your head, so you can't calm the body, you can't calm your mind. That's when the mind runs away. That's when you have the intrusive thoughts. That's when you start hating yourself. That's when the depression, anxiety, and everything else comes along with it. So this is basically, I had a poster recently saying about anxiety is not anxiety, it's actually a nervous system. Because if you calm the nervous system, the anxiety will go away. If you move it from red alert down into orange and then into green, your mind will calm. When the body's calm, the mind's calm. And this is a lot of things, and even I've gone through it. And again, it's one of those things people will always get to a point where, but you fight. It's an internal fight between your body and your head. Body, head, body,
Mm,
head, body, head. Um, and you're like, why am I so stressed? Why am I this? Why am I that? And then you're just creating the wheel even more. So it's usually about bringing the mind and the body
mm,
together and calming them both. Because once you calm one, they both calm. But it's also adjusting these stresses as well. Because obviously, once you're in it's not just the body, it's external stresses, it's past stresses, it's everything forward, back, left, and right. And most people now, from my experience and my own self, is nobody lives so much in the present. They're always thinking in the future, always thinking behind, are always stuck somewhere, but not actually stuck in the actual point of time now.
mm,
And this is where all the mental struggles and the burnout, the depression, the anxiety, the loneliness, um, the disconnect, this is where it all happens. You're not actually in the present. And so it's about focusing the nervous system, about coming back to center. We're always going to have fight with the nervous system. We're never going to be perfect. This is what it is for our body. But considering also with the societal things now, it puts us in red alert 24/7. And we don't even know we're in red alert 24/7 half the time. We just have anxiety. I'm like, yeah, but anxiety is there's underneath it.
It's really interesting, really interesting. So thank you for sharing that with us. Yeah. So what are the most common issues men come to you with?
I, I mean, you couldn't say a common. There is many different assets. I have a lot of people ask me this question. I always like, because it's multi thing. But I think if I whittle it down to probably the top couple,
Hmm.
it's basically underneath it all is realistically the connection.
Hmm.
They feel disconnected, not just from themselves, but actually from other people in the world. And it's fear of being judged.
Yeah.
If I express something, someone's gonna say I'm like XYZ. I mean, these are of course, underlying it, there's the first thing they feel anxious, they feel burnt out. But if you dig under it all, it's generally the fear of judgment and the connections themselves and connections to other people.
So what practical steps can men take today to regulate their stress?
Yeah, great question. The simplest and quickest way to regulate stress would be breathing techniques. Something simple like the box breathing, which is a simple breathe in for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, and then hold for 4. You can do this anywhere, anytime, anywhere between 3 to 10 minutes, and that'll calm the nervous system real quickly. Another super quick way, not everybody likes this one though, but the cold showers. Um, Cold showers, or even going into a cold lake or something, this will regulate the nervous system really quick. But again, not everybody likes the cold, so usually the box breathing is the quickest way to kind of regulate the nervous system. And then it's looking at external stresses as well. So I mean, even if you calm yourself, your body, you can maybe open the door and boom, it's back again because of whatever's happening around you. Um, so as I say, just starting to look at multifaceted things then. So
Hmm.
it's not just calming the body. We need to look at like maybe what's happening around X, Y, Z. So, but the breathing and like the cold shower, they're the two quickest things. We'll regulate it as fast as possible and bring you back to your center.
That's absolutely brilliant. Yeah. That's really good. What's one of the biggest challenges men face when they try to step into vulnerability?
I think I actually had a conversation yesterday, and if I, it's a brilliant question because it links into this. Actually, is fear of being judged
Mm.
and being scared. They're scared if they speak out, they're going to be judged for what they say. So even if they simply feel like I feel sad because of X, Y, Z, someone they feel like someone's going to judge them because they feel sad for that, or
Yeah.
they feel angry, like I'm angry at X, Y, Z. They feel they're going to be judged because you're like a guy's not meant to be angry because it's toxic. I'm like, no. We have emotions, and every emotion is valid. Of course, we're in a world now where everything seems to be good or bad and toxic or untoxic or whatever people want to class it as. But at the end of the day, every single thing has emotions. Even animals have emotions, and you can see it. If a dog's scared, it has its tail under. If a dog's angry, it barks. This is the same with humans. If they feel sad, they're going to kind of go in on themselves. If they feel angry, it's going to go out. But generally now, men feel if they put the anger out, their class is toxic or abusive or something like this because they keep it in. Of course, I'm not saying that a guy should scream the house down and turn abusive. That's wrong. But there's healthy ways to
Mm.
express anger. There's healthy ways to express everything. And I think there's not been that. They haven't been taught how to express this in a healthy anger, and it stays inside as most men do, and it gets to a point where boom, they explode like a volcano.
Yeah.
Um, and of course, this isn't healthy. Um, but again, this happens on both sides of the spectrum, women and male.
Mm.
Um, so it's not just a point to men, but it just again, the society of things again has been told that you shouldn't be angry, you shouldn't be sad, you shouldn't be this, shouldn't be that, and then you're left with like, what should the guy be? Like, and I think when he gets to the point, it's like, what should the guy be? Then it's like, I'm scared to do anything.
Yeah.
It's again, it's difficult in that sense, and then again, growing up in the era like we grew up, I mean, if you cried, you were seen as weak.
Mm,
I don't know what the new generation is like the younger generation now, but I can't see it's changed too much. I think the statistics now in school aren't much different from when I was in school to now. The bullying statistics are still up. Everything's still around the same thing. So things haven't changed that much. We've just come a little bit more aware.
mm. Excellent. I really love that. Yes, because absolutely. Then how does one behave? Because, they're stripped away. They don't know what to do then. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is when
Totally.
it leads into you don't know what to do and you block
Mm,
it. And
mm,
then when the block comes from everything, working, drink, drugs, alcohol addictions, and this is where you block.
mm,
So, I mean, you're blocking pain because you don't know how to deal with the pain. And again, this can come in many different forms, and it's seen with everyone, male and female. But as I said, it's with again men, we have our ways of doing things, and usually it's self-destruction.
mm. Yes, can understand that. And so this is why brotherhood and men's circles are so important right now. So can you just tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, I mean, in the men's circles, like people are like, oh, what is that? I mean, it's not much different from a female circle, to be honest. Um, but to be honest, like it's about bringing the men together in a safe space,
Mm,
and I know that like having that brotherhood is like having people like who you sit there and like you speak about whatever you need to speak, and someone turns around like, oh, yeah, I understand that. I've been there. Like, and it's not about giving advice, but it's about reflecting and actually realizing like, I say my pain or whatever I'm dealing with or wherever I could, depend how much they want to open up, X, Y, Z. And then someone's like, wow, like I've been there, I understand these feelings. And then all of a sudden the person feels seen and heard. And this is a lot what it's about. I'm like, wow, like you could say you're being seen on a deeper level, not just your physical, like someone's reflecting back their own struggles to you. And you're like, whoa, you've been in similar things to me? Like, and then you start connecting, then you realize like, oh, I'm not alone. I don't have to be alone. Like there's someone in this groups, they're all struggling in X, Y, Z, which all seems a little bit similar, and they're not judging me. They're not calling me a name. People are crying and supporting them. And you see, and like you sit there and like, whoa, I feel I'm part of something. And it's really healing, like to be in these circles
mm,
and me as a facilitator, and it's really rewarding in just knowing that like you're bringing these people together and like not only are they feeling seen, heard, but they're actually healing and I'm healing myself through all these people. So it's multifaceted and most of the time, I mean, I've been when I've facilitated the men's circles when people come in and you can see they're completely like they're completely lost. And after a few weeks or so of being in circle and they're opening up, they
mm,
change to be a different person. And it's like, and you can see it in their eyes and they're like hugging, got that, we have a group hug at the end and just everyone feels connected and they leave and they feel like, sometimes like you leave the circle and it's like, everyone goes and hangs out and have food. And it becomes, like I said, it becomes like you have friends, but it's on that deeper connection, which you don't having friends in school. It's like, yeah, you grow up with them but you don't necessarily have that deep connection where they truly understand you. And this is why the men's circle is like, and having a brotherhood is so important, especially for men, especially for men.
yeah, I really hear you there. And it is about that deep connection because on the surface level, we can all be friends, we're all fine and everything's fine. But having that deeper, safe space as well, I think that's
Hmm.
what is really important as well. Because, like, so many men feel isolated even when they're surrounded by people, and it's just being able to be whoever they are without having to have the masks on, having to be a certain way. Just be yourself. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think this is what you say is really important there. It's like be yourself. I think
Mm,
there's got to a point in the world where you can't be yourself because
mm,
if you do anything what's abnormal to society, you're like, especially as a man, you're seen as like whatever it may be, bad, abusive, wrong, sick, anything. What's just like, I'm just like, he's just a dude. Like everyone makes mistakes, everyone has their issues, everyone has their past. Like, just see the person for what it is. Understand that generally, even for women, generally, if they're like really struggling with things, they're going to act a certain way. Maybe they haven't been taught. Maybe they've gone through abuse. Maybe they're struggling mentally. You don't really know what they've gone through, and it's also sometimes even when I walk around and I see some of the drug addicts on the street, I'm like seeing them. I'm like, I know probably they're mask. I know underneath it all they're masking themselves because they're so broke. They feel so broken, and
Mhm.
it's just they haven't been seen and heard, so they have to run away with drugs. And it's sad, really, because of course addictions, people have addictive personalities, and it can lead to further things as well. But underneath it all, there's the emotional aspect, and this is what leads us to there.
That's so interesting, though, isn't it? Just, if people just allow us to be without feeling judged, without feeling all the insecurities of society, life would be such a better place to live in.
Yeah,
We'd
of
all feel
course.
a lot more comfortable. Yes. So, what is one of the most important lessons you've learned over your life? Because let's face it, you've probably learned quite a lot.
Oh man, great question. I have to ponder on this one. One of the important lessons. I think probably realistically, if I think of it now, what's coming into my head, the first thing is that I learned learning to listen to myself, my intuition, because when I've been probably disassociated, not and disconnected from everything, I've made stupid mistakes, and mistakes I wouldn't have made within or judge myself or being so harsh on myself if I'd literally listened to the internal clock. And it's taken me a lot of years. And there has been times where I've made the internal listen as I met the big change. So that was an internal listen. But I think it's more like, okay, if something comes to me, it doesn't feel right, and I feel it in my body, that it's probably the right thing to listen to, rather than just like not listen to myself and then go anyway. And usually when I don't listen to myself, it ends up in not the best situation, and then I've made some form of mistake, whether it's big or little. So I think for me the biggest thing is that learning to listen to my own intuition, my own body, and what I need to make to keep myself sane, basically.
And that's so true. And yeah, absolutely. People can take a lot from that because we got to trust our gut instinct. We've got to trust ourselves. And we so many times don't. And then afterwards, we kick ourselves because, yeah, I knew I should have listened to myself. How many
Mm.
times do we do that? Absolutely. So well done. That's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, great place to be in.
You guys just mentioned on there that like having like kicking ourselves because we made a mistake, and people we get really harsh on ourselves, and
Mm.
realistically we are human, we make mistakes. And this is also I've seen a lot with men. They're like, oh, they get stuck because they feel they should have done something else. But when you take it back to everything, you made a mistake. This is society now telling you like you're a bad person for doing this, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, we're human. There's only so many we can say yes or no. We can move left or right. And it's not to be so harsh on ourselves. And again, coming from my own personal experience, I've destroyed myself for making just like even the simplest of choices. It doesn't have to be like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to echo what you've just said, yeah, it doesn't. It really does not have to be like that. If there was one key takeaway you want every listener to walk away with today, what would that be?
That you're not alone. That it doesn't matter what part of your life, whether you're in an amazing part of your life, where you're in like maybe not so good, that you're not alone, and that just by reaching out, you're not. It's actually you think you're weak to reach out, and that nobody actually cares, but actually, if you find the right person and reach out to the right person, you'll see that the whole world will change for you. It's just about taking that, and it's brave. You're gonna be in your power and in your strength if you say like, I'm struggling with X, Y, Z. Can you please help? In a way, obviously, that someone can understand. And you'll realize by doing that, you'll feel there's so much pressure taken off. You won't feel alone. You won't feel isolated. Um, and this is the way forward, whatever it may be. It's just taking that little step, whatever it may be, even if it feels scary.
That's brilliant. Thank you for sharing. So, where can the listeners find you online? What's your website, Keith?
You can find me. online at Holistic Brotherhood, spelled with a W, and on social media, same name, socials. I'm there. And yeah, if you do need a bit of support, I also offer a men's support group on WhatsApp, where it's a group of like-minded men asking questions and just generally being there for each other. It's a small community, but it's there when you need it. So if there is an extra bit of support, there is that group for anyone who needs that.
So if you do need to have any help whatsoever, please do get in touch with Keith. All the links will be in the show notes. Connect with him. Make sure you know help is out there. Most important thing, help is out there. So thank you for sharing your insightful wisdom and knowledge with us today. And by doing so, I know you have helped so many others make a difference. I really want to acknowledge you for that, Keith Hagar.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It's my absolute pleasure. With that said, we are all about Create the Courage to Be Fearless podcast here. What is your definition of courage?
Stepping forward and talking. That is courage, 100%.